Welcome back, my fellow collectors. I'm Calvin, aka Statue Fanatic, here with another review, and man, am I super excited about this one. I've done a Spawn piece before, fan art piece before, and if you guys saw the video, you know I'm not one to ever bash art because art is so subjective. When I got that piece, I thought it was cool, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. And so I kind of figured that I would just kind of give up on the whole fan art thing, and then the opportunity through all the drama that you guys probably already know in the statue community about this particular piece, this came up and I was able to secure one of these, one of 50 and probably one prototype out there. So 51, let's give it, another one. But anyway, I digress. This particular figure, I said, you know what, let's give this another chance. And so I did. And man, am I happy I did, because I have wanted for so long to have a quarter scale Spawn figure in my collection. It's been forever, and McFarlane has done some amazing pieces, but they've all been 1/8 or 1/6 scale pieces. Not even 1/6, I don't think, but they've been smaller scale pieces, but nothing like this. And so when this came up, I decided that I wanted to jump on this and figure and see if I could get the opportunity to buy this, and I did. Like I said, it's a fan art piece, so I'm not going to give much information about it other than it is pretty freaking awesome. So, not going to get into the history of Spawn, but I would encourage you. There's been a movie out of Spawn that's pretty cool. I still love the movie. I know some people think it hasn't held up against the test of time, but I still think the movie is awesome. Michael J. White is awesome. But if you really want to check out some really cool media from Spawn as far as movies are concerned, the HBO animated series I think is freaking top notch. So check that out. But anyway, let's get into the statue, because that's probably why you tuned in when you saw the thumbnail. So this is Al Simmons, who decided that for love, he was going to sacrifice himself that he could come back to be with his love Wanda. And from then, an entire saga, sometimes great stories, sometimes not so great stories have ensued as a result of this particular character. But I have always loved him, and I've been on the journey ever since. And now they've made the Guinness Book of World Records with Spawn 301, the longest running independent title out there. So, as I do once around, you can check this guy out, see what he looks like. I will say this is one massive statue. It is huge. The cape is huge. Everything about it is huge. So what we'll do is we'll start with the base and just kind of talk about a little bit about what's going on there. Fantastic job. Tons of skulls and all kind of decay and decrepit stuff that's here. And the shading and the different colors, the browns, the tones that are in this base look absolutely amazing. Just fantastic, as you can see here. And then when we go up to the cross has this very stone graveyard look to it. And what's cool about this is that it looks like it's one big solid stone piece, but when you take it out or you're putting it together, it's not. It looks like I won't say it's PVC, but it is pretty light. So I like that. That kind of, lightens the weight of the statue, because the statue overall is really heavy. And then as you go over to the cape, which I'll talk about that, the cape is massive, absolutely huge. So what I do like about the cape, you can't tell from looking at it, but I can tell from putting it together, is that this is made out of some type of polyurethane material that is extremely lightweight, meaning it is not polystone, which thank you, because that was one of the things that I was really nervous about when it came to ordering this statue, is because when I saw how massive the cape was, I was concerned that this would be broken just by sheer I don't know, coming from overseas or wherever it's coming from, that it would be broken. It is very solid. There's some flexibility in it, some give, which makes it really durable, and that it won't break, which I love. And on top of that, it's great for the balance of the statue, because you see the way the cape is flowing here, where it's going out to his right there. This could really be a top-heavy statue if it were all polystone, and it's not. Kudos to whoever decided that was going to be one of the design features, that it was going to be made out of this material. Fantastic. And then as we go up to Spawn's body himself, he's polystone, it seems, resin statue. Fantastic piece here. The sculpt on it looks absolutely stunning. You can see all of the strands of his muscle all throughout his body, which is really cool. And it's classic Spawn in that you'll notice that, you know, the big boot here is part of the classic Spawn. The bracelets, the gauntlet, or whatever you want to call it, the things that are around his leg here with the spikes on it, all classic Spawn, which I really like, including the ammo pouch that's around his thigh. And as you go up, it has the classic Spawn logo there, which is pretty cool. Here you have two skulls there. You have the skull in his midsection there. And then you have these real chains, which is really cool as well. All looks fantastic. Very, very super excited and happy about how this piece came out. And then, I mean, just looking over his entire body, just the sculpting of it looks just fantastic. I'm really happy with it. Now, I know this is a digital sculpt, but the way that it appears and the way that this piece has come out, it almost feels like this is the only piece that was made, because it does have this hand sculpted appeal to it. And I really like that about it. And then as you go up to his head, he has the classic Spawn mask on, which is awesome. And this does come with two switch out pieces. Actually, yeah, two switch out pieces where you can actually take this off and put what we have called the hamburger head Spawn without his mask on. And then here you see his hand there where he's got the cape that he's flicking or throwing in the wind behind him with the gauntlet with the spikes on it. Looks amazing. The same thing with his cape that extends above his head. It's just kind of flowing. It has this really cool flow to it. So I could not be happier with this particular piece. And again, as I turn it around, you can see what I'm talking about. And one thing that does stand out in terms of this head sculpt, and I'll put the other head sculpt on so we can talk about that, is that on this head sculpt, which I love, by the way, you can see the seam from where you put his head on there. You can see that seam, but we'll talk about the other head sculpt in just a minute and how that kind of fades away. But even with this, I don't care. It looks okay. It's not like it stands out like, oh wow, there's this big seam. That's not a thing. It's really cool. So now let's talk a little bit about the switch out pieces that come with it. Now this piece comes off. This is the cape around the part of the cape that's around his neck. That comes off. Now in videos that I've seen of other people who've done this, for some reason they have mentioned that you might have to take the cape off. I don't know if this was a post-production design that you don't have to do this, but this head comes off without the cape even being moved, which is awesome, because the video that I saw having to remove this big cape every time you wanted to change out the feature was a pain in the butt, in my opinion, and you don't have to do that. So now I can go ahead and put this head on him here, what we have dubbed the hamburger head Spawn. And then this, although there's no pegs or anything like that, the magnets line up perfectly when you're putting it back on his neck. As soon as you find where it goes, it snaps in place without you even doing anything. You know if you've got it on correctly because it just fits in the groove. Now, the other thing that you can take off his arm here, and that comes off, which is pretty cool. And then you can put this axe on. Now, for some reason, I'm pretty good at putting statues together. I had a freaking hard time figuring this out, but once you figure it out, it just goes in the right place. But that's what the axe looks like. And I think that looks amazing. And if you're gonna display him with this head, it just seems logical to display him with that axe. However, I went back and forth, and I think for me, I'm definitely gonna display him with the classic Spawn head and not the axe, because I don't know, I just like this rendition of him, and I'll take that off. And the pieces come off really easy, but what's really cool, the magnets are pretty solid, so they stay on there pretty easily too when you're putting the magnets on him. Wow, so again, this is Spawn, classic Spawn. I like the fact that they didn't go overboard with any creative type, things about recreating this guy. If I could change one thing about this guy, and this is so minute, and it's totally a personal preference here, and that would be these skulls. I would like them to be more like the comic book skulls that are on here, and these are not like that. They're kind of different. There's a different artistic take on those, which is cool. They look great. I just prefer the other ones. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the paint application on this guy. And what I can say about the paint application is that kudos, great job. Is it the best paint application that I've ever seen on a statue? By far, absolutely not. I mean, I can see different areas where it's not perfect. But for what I paid for this and what I was expecting, it far exceeds my expectations. I will say that. I can see here on like his logo here, the arms, the paint lines are extremely clean. Love it. The shading that's, like I said, on the base here with the skulls, even the shading on the cape, the shading on his outfit with this matte finish, absolutely looks fantastic. There are some things about the cape where I think that it's just oversprayed or overpainted, where I can see a few areas of what I would call clumping, if you will. And mostly in the areas where the cape is torn, you can see that. And there's a few other areas. But I won't even show those because it's not that big of a deal. It's just me, you know, just noticing this as I look at the piece, because this isn't a piece that anyone can just go out and pick up if you're thinking about picking it up and all that kind of thing. There's only 50 of these. So, and I was one of those people that decided to take a chance on this. And I will say 100%, I am really happy that I took a chance on this. Now, like I said, this is number 11th of 50. And I was hoping that my statue, you can see from the picture, I was hoping that mine didn't have this particular saying on it. I try my best to stay out of the drama of, you know, that can come the drama that can come in the statue community. But even that, you won't be able to see that. But those of you who are interested in all of this, you can do a little bit of searching in the statue community to find out how all this came about. But that is about all I have to say about this fan art piece of Spawn. Very happy. Remember, my friends, always collect what you like and not the hype. And until next time, my friends, peace.